How about the Clippers? Why don't we do that? I live in Southern California. I am a Los Angeles native. It is a West Coast-based program. We're going to start right there. Now, for years now, you could sum up the mission of the Clippers in one glorious, epic phrase from some glorious, epic Clipper bros. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome. We know this, and you're well aware of this. And that was the goal for the Clippers when they lost 2 home games to fall behind an underdog Mavs team. Then they trailed 3-2 en route to what looked like another catastrophic meltdown and choke job by the alleged title contenders. I mean, at that point, the entire world was poised and ready to rush in and crucify these chokers. It looked like they were going to do it yet again. In the end, though, the Clippers went anti-Clipper. They turned up and they took out the Mavs, and then they finished them off in a Game 7. And again, they were in big trouble. They were trailing. They had lost all 3 games at home. Can you imagine had they not come through, how bad that would have been? Can you imagine choking and losing all 4 games at home, including a Game 7? It would have been the most Clipper thing of all time. And if we're being really honest with ourselves, it would have been the most hilarious thing of all time. Except that's not what happened, right? They clutched up, they manned up, instead of manning down. And that also was a very un-Clipper-like thing. Good thing, too, because if they had lost this thing and they had gone down that way and they had lost in a Game 7 and they lost all 4 home games and they lost to a lower seed, man, they would have never, ever lived that down. They would have never heard the end of it, and nor should they. I mean, we are talking about a team that was tanking in order to avoid the Lakers, who got bounced in the first round, tanking in order to avoid the Lakers, and literally asking for Luka instead, who nearly shot them the hell out of the field. Again, would have been the most Clipper thing ever and could have easily filled all 3 hours on this show today with a single topic. Oh, and Clipper fan, don't act like you didn't think that was going to happen either. You've seen that horror show before, and it was playing out right before your own very eyes yesterday. They were doing what they do best, choke. No one finds new and better ways to melt down than this crew. Except this time, they didn't. Instead of remembering that they were the Clippers at the worst possible time, Kawhi Leonard remembered he was Kawhi Leonard at the best possible time. Leonard was not going to let these guys choke. He was not going to let them choke again. He was not going to let them lose. He had a huge game. He had a near triple-double, all while being asked to defend the legend that is Luka. Even Pandemic P went the entire game without hitting the side of the backboard. And then on top of that, you get a few guys that you didn't necessarily know that you could count on, but you did. Marcus Morris was huge. Luke Kennard was huge. Reggie Jackson came up big. When these guys had to have something and show you something, they did on a big stage. So, what I'm saying is this about the Clippers. What I'm willing to give you is limited credit. Limited credit for not doing what you always do when it matters most. Meltdown, underachieve, and choke your way out of the postseason. So limited credit and good job, good effort. I mean, I guess, limited credit for that, but absolutely no credit for advancing to the second round as the favorite in the series and beating a lower seed that does not have your overall talent or your depth. No credit for doing what you're supposed to do. In fact, how far did the bar get lowered? How far down is that bar now that a team with Kawhi and PG is getting this much love for winning a playoff series that they were favored in? They didn't bring these so-called legends in to win early in the playoffs against lower-seeded teams with the home court advantage. That's not why they brought those guys in. They brought those guys in to contend for and win world championships. So don't go popping any bottles or planning a parade route for getting out of the first round barely. But I'll tell you who I will put some respect on. I'll give you a name that I'll put some respect on because people don't. people generally won't, and he does take a lot of heat. I'm talking about Ty Lue. Yeah, I said it. Because he coached his ass off yesterday. He showed some stones, in fact, huge stones, by staying with Luke Kennard and by inserting Terrence Mann in the third quarter because he would have been crushed if that didn't work out. And yes, he got a ton out of Reggie Jackson. I mean, sure, Kawhi was good. He's supposed to be in those situations. He's a two-time NBA Finals MVP. Yes, Paul George was effective, but you're supposed to be, when you gloss yourself, playoff P. I'm talking about Marcus Morris Sr. How about this dude going for 23? Because he and his twin, who was in the house to see Marcus was, to use a phrase, shooting the piss out of it. He did. And who saw him going for not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, but 7 threes. This guy was 7 of 9 from deep in Game 7. Yeah, 7. That was stupid. So if he doesn't do that, if he does not show up that huge, what kind of a conversation are we having right now about the Clippers? Suddenly Kawhi's numbers don't look that good, and neither do PG's. So what I'm saying is, credit, I guess, for doing what you were supposed to do and getting out of the first round as an alleged title contender, but I'm still not sold. Because about 5 minutes ago, they had choked away another game, meaning they lost their first 3 on their home floor and were on their way to pulling off another all-time choke, trailing in the third quarter in Game 7. Luckily for them, Luka finally slammed into the wall. So yes, the playoffs are wide ass open right now, especially with James Harden dinged. But some of you really need to stop acting like the Clippers are now the team to beat, that the Clippers are playing their best when it matters most, that the Clippers actually just somehow won the strap. They didn't. They beat an undermanned, lower-seeded Mavericks team that gave them hell. So stop acting like we need to decide whether or not the Clippers' championship parade should start at Staples and head to the beach, or whether it should start at the beach and head downtown, or that we owe them some sort of an apology. Yeah, no. I mean, we'll see. They might go on a deep run, or they might get knocked the hell out by the Jazz right now. They could get to the conference finals, but would it surprise anybody at all if Kawhi and Pandemic P pulled their disappearing acts again and the Jazz rolled right over them? Of course not. That sure as hell could still happen. So yes, I'm going to acknowledge the Game 7 win, but I'm still not sold. No, I want to see this against the Jazz. I want to see this against a higher-seeded team. Do that, and then we have something to talk about. Do that, and then maybe we can start to change the narrative about this team. Do that, and then maybe you are legit. But one Game 7 win against a team that you should have put to sleep much earlier does not make you warriors or change the previous narrative. I need to see more. I need to see a hell of a lot more. And it's not just me, by the way. So do these pros. They need to see more. So what I'm saying is, let's not get carried away. You did what you were supposed to do. Congrats. Pretty damn cool. Survived a Game 7. On to the next round. And now you got to deal with the Jazz.